TRW, and I am back with crossbows and cannon. This battle is Ravenna. Ravenna right here. Ravenna is from Crossbows and Cannon 1, but I will naturally continue to play with Crossbows and Cannon 2 rules. Crossbows and Cannon design is quite engaging for the ability to see the interactions of all these different kinds of units. So longbow, crossbow, arquebusiers, light cavalry, pike, infantry, mounted crossbow, artillery, stradiots, genitors, I guess Swiss pike. Yeah, so what is that? About 10 distinct kinds of units. Lots of different kinds of fire capability. Different kinds of mounted units. So let's see what we have in this battle. We have heavy cavalry. We have mounted arquebusiers here. Stradiots. Mounted crossbowmen. I guess I'll talk about all this stuff as I go. Over here is, here's more mounted crossbow. This over here is the mounted formation of Bernardo. He's got some artillery in front of him. The blue is the French army, and they're facing a Swiss Papal Army. Spanish and Papal Army. Yeah. We also have a good number of commands, formations on each side. Oh yeah, this reminds me. Looking at this reminds me. Let me first of all get some things out of the way, just to this again is along the lines of, yes, I do recognize this. I didn't miss it. I'm not blind. Yes, I did notice. Okay, so in setting up, it's pretty more frustrating development, I guess. Frustrating limitations in the development of this game and all of these games by this designer. Okay, what am I talking about? This artillery unit, it's shown as being set up way over there. Doesn't make any sense. So I moved it over here to be in line with how the rest of the French army is deployed. Far more significantly is on the Spanish Papal side. They're supposed to be. So first I was getting out the, I should talk about these order markers, by the way, command markers. I'll try to remember that. But I was trying to get out my command chits, because I had sorted out all of the leaders, leaders in this game, and I noticed that Cardona right there doesn't have a command, which is like, okay, maybe Cardona just doesn't have a command. And then I could not find his chit. Never did find it. Up here, Cardona is clearly shown as the overall leader. Cardona, overall leader, setting up in 6120, which is right here. Actually setting up with the Spanish commander of Colonna. So I'll go ahead and show all this stuff as I go through, talking about this battle and this game. So that's Colonna, command rating of 5, command span of 4, combat bonus of +1. He has a stand command in the rear left here. He's stacked with a 4-strength heavy cavalry, papal cavalry unit. He has another papal heavy cavalry unit with him, strength of 3. So I guess put that together, 7. 2 heavy papal cavalry units together, strength of 7. Anyways, clearly supposed to be a overall leader there, Cardona. Never found it. So I did look at all the other battles to see if Cardona showed up in any of these other battles, in which case I just would have used his piece. I didn't find. I realized that. Well, I looked in the scenario setups here. I looked in the scenario setups here, and I didn't see a Cardona piece. Now I wonder if the Cardona piece wasn't actually with another set of chits, because I do have my chits separated by battle, and that starts from the very beginning when with all of these games. Actually, it's true of all of these games by this designer. When I first get them, I purchased all. Actually, that's not true. One of them I purchased. Actually, one of them was partially punched. Actually, as a matter of fact, it was partially punched. Was I think Henry V. But anyways, when I get them, I prep all the counters, and as I take them off the master sheet, I bag them by battle. But now I wonder if Cardona, that piece wasn't with the pieces of another battle. But anyways, I will look for that, but if I can't find it, if there never was a Cardona piece, then I'm just going to do without the overall leader on the Spanish papal side. Okay. Those were the two most frustrating parts of the setup. Okay. Now there is the issue of crossbows and cannon 1 versus crossbows and cannon 2. Obviously, I've been through this at least twice before. Overall, crossbows and cannon 2, I believe, has to be the rules I'm going to use, because it's clearly, from designer notes, it's clearly meant to be, again, an updated version to supplant Volume 1 rules. Problem is, it's not quite that, well, yeah, it's not that clean. Oh yeah, it's not that clean actually, because, and that's why I have Volume 1 rules out, because the one rule that I know I need to pull forward, and I actually want to pull this forward, is this 8.4 pike units and ditch hex sides or sunken road hexes. This is a really neat rule. Basically what it says, I won't even bother reading it, basically what it says is when two, and I'll grab these two French, might as well take a close look at these two French pike infantry units. Okay, so here's two French pike infantry units. Yeah, I know what it's trying to do. I know what the camera's trying to do. Okay, two pike infantry units, French in this case. Alright, named Emser. The strength is lower left, 8 each here. Center right is morale, 8, which is high morale. And movement allowance of 3, lower right. Okay. What this rule says is that when two pike units like this are stacked together and they cross a, or I guess I should say when they go to cross a ditch like this, so this is a ditch, the Spanish Papal line is conforming to a ditch here, a semi-circle ditch here. So when two pike units go to cross a ditch, I think you're going to roll morale checks. I'm sorry, it's not a morale. It's not a morale check. It is just a die roll. Okay. Okay, so when you go to move the 2, you're going to roll a die. Like 2 is, I think, good. So 1 to 5. Okay, 1 to 5, they move across normal. They pay 1 extra for the ditch, and they move on normal. However, if you roll a 6 to 10, right, if you were to roll an 8, only the top unit moves and pays the +1, and then you go on. You as I understand it, you can go on with your movement, but in this game, when you unstack, there's no restacking ever. So basically, the ditch has forced the units to become unstacked. In other words, it has caused that amount of, if you want to call it, disorganization to the pike units. I'm sorry, only the top unit moves. That makes it sound like the movement of the bottom unit is done. So they're there, they're done. Only the top unit moves, paying +1, which implies that they can then move on if they have. Wait a minute. Why am I implying that? Why am I pulling that out? Okay, it says only the top unit moves, period. The bottom unit remains in the hex. That's vague. Okay, I guess you can interpret that how you want as far as whether the top unit can continue moving on or not. I'll decide in the, I don't know, I'll decide in the circumstances. Vague rules writing. Okay. But anyways, that rule is in here, volume 1, and it's not pulled forward in volume 2. Now, of course, at first I was thinking, oh, yeah, it would be right after here, but it's not. So of course I'm first thinking, okay, did the designer change his mind or whatever? Well, who knows? But no, I'm going to assume that it's a good rule, but I'm going to assume it doesn't apply to any of the battles that were chosen for Crossbows and Cannon 2. So, like I said, I like the rule. Presumably this ditch was used at least in part for that reason, and so I'm going to pull that rule forward and add that to Crossbows and Cannon 2 for this battle. Understand, of course, that Ravenna is from Volume 1. Okay. Otherwise, the other thing I'll say about rules is that I want to play another game of Crossbows and Cannon. Primary reason is like I already said about the interesting interplay of the unit types. But the other reason why I want to play again is that there are a couple of rules that I've highlighted them for myself. There are just a couple of rules here that I just never really that I haven't really practiced, and I want to practice those. I want to practice the full Crossbows and Cannon 2 from beginning to end. So that's another reason why I want to do that. Let's see. So I think that's enough for rules. I had to pull out the terrain effects chart from Volume 1 because why was that? Because ditch hex. So ditch hex side in Volume 1, and this is clearly a ditch. It's labeled right there. It's labeled ditch. So this is a ditch, but when we come up to volume 2, they don't have ditch. Now it looks functionally the same as trench, except that again in Crossbows and Cannon 2 there isn't that breakup of stacked pike units. So yeah, I went ahead and I'm going to keep the terrain effects chart handy for volume 1. That just makes sense anyways. Okay, much more important is how to handle really all skirmish units. Okay, so let me tell you what's going on here, and what I'm deciding to do. I'm really going back and forth. Maybe I'll even experiment with both, but I think I have an idea of what. So the idea first is I'm going to treat all the skirmish units in this volume 1 battle. I'm going to treat them the same as the skirmish units in volume 2. So what this is, these games are always they're always a different mishmash of things. I don't know if that's become clear at this point, but they are. I mean, rules are thrown in, rules are taken out. You know, commands are handled one way in one game, commands are handled another way. I have to agree that it's always the same general design idea, yes, but there's so many different implementations. So what this is a unit display that was done for volume 2, and I don't think this was done for any other game in this family of games, but it's nice. I wish they did this for all the games, but this is a unit display, and what it does is it helped me to go through and really quickly scan for volume 2 all of the skirmisher units. So we're talking crossbows, longbowmen, or I guess I'll say bowmen, arquebusiers, artillery. Here's more crossbowmen, just a different image. So there's more crossbowmen, another image of archers, bowmen, I should say, artillery. So bottom line is doing a quick scan of volume 2, all skirmisher units, doesn't matter if they're artillery or arquebusiers or crossbowmen, they all have a strength of 1 right there. They all have a strength of 1. Whereas back in volume 1, that is not the case, right? You have crossbowmen back here, they're strength 5. These crossbowmen strength 5. The artillery are strength 1. This is true, but these crossbowmen are strength 2. These arquebusier are strength 5. Arquebusier strength 5. So basically it's 2 or 5. 1, 2, or 5. Well, 5 is 2. I mean, 5 is not comparable to 1 for strength. So basically, when these this is the problem, right? When these crossbowmen, when these crossbowmen go into battle, so grab this. See, when the crossbowmen on the right go into melee, now they cannot initiate melee, that's true, but they're going to fight back in melee just fine, just like any other unit, and that's a problem. So they at strength 5 are comparable to this strength 4 pike unit in melee, and that's too much of a differential. The reason why I say that those are comparable, by the way, is that you have your melee table, you have your 1 to 3 column, and you have your 4 to 6 column. So they're both on the same column, so they are comparable, and that just doesn't make sense in real life. And it makes the crossbowmen are as hard to believe as the arquebusiers as far as being that substantial in melee. which explains why I think you get to volume 2. Yeah, I just messed up my French left line. How many times has this happened? A lot. It probably explains why all the skirmisher units in volume 2 are strength 1. So what I'm going to plan on doing is, I think it's going to be easy enough for me to remember that I'm going to treat all of the skirmisher units in this volume 1 battle, despite the strength that's on the counter, and treat them all as 1 strength units. Now, it's already true that they're 1 step units, but even I'm still going to adjust and say when they go in melee, these crossbowmen are not going to roll on the 4 to 6 column. They're going to be treated as a 1 strength unit for melee. Finally, these pieces are from volume 1. This is like a one-off. I don't remember any other game in this family trying this. This was an experiment, I guess you could say, for a route counter in volume 1 of Crossbows and Cannon. When you go to Crossbows and Cannon 2, they're back to the route marker like that, the black route marker that I'm used to for this family of games. So this is a family of games, so basically I use whatever markers I want to use. So these are going to be my little reminder markers. They're not route markers. They're going to be my reminder markers. So this is a reminder that in this battle, all of these Spanish Papal pike units are considered to be, at the start of the battle, they're considered to be lying down in the prone. So there'll be a special scenario rule for that, but that's why they're marked that way. Now, one last thing about information markers. I want to say again, I think I mentioned this before, but Crossbows and Cannon 1 and 2 did not use these. These are from, I think I pulled these from one of the Royalists and Roundheads games. These command markers, information markers, I like these. I grew to like them. I didn't like them at first, actually. So when I started this game, Royalists and Roundheads 3, I think, was the first volume I purchased, got a hold of, and tried playing. I actually wished that there was an off-map display for the orders. I didn't like the markers on the map, but then anyways, over time I actually grew to like the markers on the map. And then Crossbows and Cannon 1 and 2 both use an off-map display, and then there's a little generic command marker. It says command on it, and you put it in the different box. You put them in the different boxes to show the different current orders for your commanders, your leaders on the board, which is exactly the off-map display that I thought I liked originally. But I don't like that anymore. I don't even use those off-map displays for Crossbows and Cannon 1 and 2. So instead, I am going to be using the information markers on the board exactly as in Royalists and Roundheads.